If a surrogate's carrying a baby that's not her baby, is she still entitled to maternity leave? Let's talk about it. What's up? I'm Corlando Scott, and I'm an assisted reproductive technologies attorney in Los Angeles, and my whole practice revolves around helping people grow their family through assisted reproduction. That's surrogacy, egg donation, embryo donation, the whole works. In this video, we're going to talk about, does a surrogate get maternity leave? We'll take a brief look at maternity law in the US. We'll talk about what entitles a surrogate to maternity leave. And we'll answer the question, does being a surrogate factor into things? Let's go. Before we talk about whether a surrogate qualifies for maternity leave, let's look at maternity law, so to speak, in the US. Unfortunately, the US is the only OECD country without statutory paid maternity leave benefits. The OECD was set up to address and explore social and economic issues and to share best practices between countries on how to address those issues. It now has around 50 members, and the US is one of those members. Unfortunately, we're not like the rest of our fellow members in the sense that we don't provide a statutory federal pay for maternity leave. However, we do have FMLA, which is the Family Medical Leave Act. FMLA makes it possible for some employees to receive maternity benefits. Unfortunately, everyone isn't eligible for FMLA. States also address this with SDI, or state disability insurance. So although it's not a given, there are some systems available to provide potential maternity benefits for a pregnant woman. So for a person to qualify for FMLA, there's a few requirements. Let's look at them. So what would entitle a surrogate to FMLA? Well, there are a few criteria. Let's look at them. She must be employed at a company with 50 or more employees. She must have worked for the company for at least 12 months during the past 7 years. And she must have worked at least 1,250 hours in those last 12 months. Now, that's the tricky part. Here's why. Say you've worked with the company for the last 12 months, but you've only put in 1,200 hours. Well, technically, you aren't eligible. Or if the total hours worked exceed 1,250, but you've only been at the company for 10 months, first of all, kudos to you, hard worker, but you still wouldn't qualify. So again, you must have worked at least 1,250 hours and at least 12 months in order to qualify. Well, there's also another option. Like we said, states supply state disability insurance. So what qualifies a surrogate for SDI? Well, really, it depends on the state. Some states have taken the FMLA framework but modified it to let more people into it. So you have places like Washington, D.C., for instance, that have lowered the standards. For instance, they've lowered the employee threshold number from 50 down to 10. So if you work at a small company, you can still qualify possibly. What's most important is that you check with your employer about their policies and procedures to make sure that you're getting all of the benefits that you're qualified for, whether it's on a state level, a federal level, or even just up to your company policy. Another thing to keep in mind as an intended parent is this. You want to have something in your contract that says this: in the event that you're obligated to provide the surrogate with compensation for lost wages, let's say she's put on bed rest, or the doctor places her on restricted activity and she can't work, and you're responsible for making up the wages that she lost, you'll want to make sure the contract explores whether she's required to file for state disability insurance to offset the amount that you would be obligated to pay to make up for those lost wages. These are some of the tiny nuances that if you surround yourself with the right professionals, you won't be left out in the cold if these things happen. That being said, does it matter if the pregnant woman is a surrogate carrying a baby for someone other than herself? The simple answer, no. These benefits cover the pregnant woman, not the pregnant woman depending on who she's carrying the baby for. So if you're in a situation where you are carrying a baby for someone else, or you're an intended parent with a surrogate who's entitled to these benefits, make sure to talk to the professionals in your team to get access to the benefits that are available to you. If you want to dive deeper into the surrogacy process and everything you need to know in order to have a successful surrogacy, click the link below and get access to my free resource called Stress-Free Surrogacy. It's a training where I take you through the entire surrogacy process. I even bring in case studies from previous clients of mine. I show you places where they ran into roadblocks or pitfalls, and we can talk about how you can avoid those things to make your journey through surrogacy stress-free and take you from dream to delivery. So click below and get access to it.